ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula today defending the party's cadre deployment policy again. He says the policy was put in place to guide the party's national democratic transformation agenda. Yesterday, the DA lost a legal case to have cadre deployment declared unconstitutional. However, the DA has been, in a separate case, victorious in getting the courts to grant it access to the ANC's cadre deployment committee meeting minutes.
Deployment must be according to speciality, aptitude, qualification, experience and capability. Cadres should be correctly placed and promoted at the right time so that they may fully apply their talents and creativity. Cadres must also be redeployed to new areas of work so that they develop all-round skills to lead the process of national democratic transformation, promotion and accountability. The political performance of cadres through the knowledge of everyone's work, ability and personal life should guide placement and promotions, guard against favoritism, opportunism, regionalism, ethnical, tribal or gender discrimination. Preservation of cadres. Preservation should include consideration around working conditions, preservation of skills, health and security. These key elements of our cadre policy and deployment have guided the implementation of our national democratic transformation agenda.
Dr Sam Koma is a governance expert. He joins us now. Dr Koma, good afternoon to you. The judgment yesterday against the DA, suggesting that a governing party has the right to influence appointments to government. I mean, that must be right, isn't it? I mean, what's the point of being in government if you can't influence government appointments? Would you see it like that?
Yeah. Yes, Stephen, thanks for the opportunity. You're quite right. That's what the North Gauteng High Court arrived at, to say any political party is entitled to influence government decisions. But it further stated that this does not mean the same with political meddling in the affairs of the government. So it said if the lines are quite clear between state and party, any political party is entitled to influence decisions, including appointments of senior staff at the level of directors general, the DDGs, heads of departments, and other key functionaries of the state. But it should also be pointed out that the conclusions that the North Gauteng High Court arrived at was that it can't make any determination on the basis of the claims made by the DA without any supporting admissible evidence that was put before it. So it says on the basis of this, it arrives at the conclusion that the DA came to court with a case that is anchored on speculation and assumptions, and hence it dismissed or rejected the application.
So the judges use that phrase, the bright line between state and party, and that influencing government appointments is not the same as meddling in government. I don't know how bright that line is. I mean, it might look clear, but I don't know if it is, because you can appoint someone to a position, and you appoint them because you know exactly what they're going to do. I mean, that's exactly the point, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. So we know that the only evidence we have before us is what is packaged in the final state capture report. The findings, quite damning, the findings made against our state-owned enterprises or companies, namely Eskom, Dinel, and also Transnet and Prasa, because in the report we now have factual evidence that the boards, how they were composed, the key individuals who were appointed in the boards and also in the running of the affairs of these state-owned enterprises, to a large extent, there was this meddling, and the evidence was adduced before the State Capture Commission. But separate from what the North Gauteng High Court arrived at yesterday, it says this is not what, in fact, the State Capture report arrived at, to say the cadre deployment policy of the ANC is unconstitutional. But it says the State Capture report, and it bases this on the remarks which were made by the chairperson of the commission, that is Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, to say it will be unlawful if any consideration were to be made on appointments in the public service based on political influence. So they say these are two separate things. The State Capture Commission report doesn't say the policy is unconstitutional and unlawful, but it remarked that it will be unlawful for any consideration in the appointments of senior staff in the public service, including other state institutions, to be based on political considerations.
There's so much in this, and I mean, Dr. Koma, I think we could talk about this forever. I've seen people say the problem with this policy of cadre deployment is it discriminates against people who do not belong to the ANC. And I've seen other people say, but plenty of people who don't belong to the ANC have been given big jobs. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever accused Andre de Ruyter of supporting the ANC.
Yes, that is why the ANC President Ramaphosa, when he appeared before the proceedings of the Zondo Commission in 2021 April, he conceded that as currently practiced, the manner in which this policy has been implemented was a massive system failure, but then there are attempts to deal with these shortcomings in terms of improving the manner in which the policy is implemented. And I think this ties with what in your intro you referred to, the pronouncement made by the Secretary General of the ANC to say, no, the policy is quite clear-cut. We're looking for cadres who possesses requisite qualifications, skills, and experience. But their experience in the last 30 years does point to this abuse of the implementation of this policy, because now the evidence is there as per the State Capture Commission report. But we also know that the AG audit outcomes reports on annual basis does give us a sense that the state capacity is weak in many respects. We also have reports of the public protector. We also have reports that are now coming from the South African Human Rights Commission, the latest being the 2021 July unrest, pointing to these state failings in executing or fulfilling their constitutional obligations.
I wonder, with all of the records that have now been released, and there might be more to come, and I don't think we've actually seen any records before 2018, so I expect there'll be more legal fights about it. But the issue might come around the appointment, of judges. So the ANC Deployment Committee and Jesse Duarte, who's passed now, of course, sending documents to people saying that the Chief Justice has too much power. She sent a document like that to Ronald Lamola, the Justice Minister. I mean, should the ANC be talking about judges and appointments of judges? And at the same time, you and I can talk about appointments of judges. It doesn't mean we have the power to appoint them, so why should the ANC not be allowed to do it?
Yes, so you remember the ANC cadre deployment policy was born in 1997 at the Mafikeng conference of the ANC as a resolution. The resolution sought to attempt to de-racialize and transform the levers of state power, including the judiciary, the executive, legislative authority, SOEs, and also Chapter 9 institutions and other independent bodies. So there was no way that in their deliberations as the deployment committee, they will not arrive at some kind of a recommendation around the appointments or consideration for appointments of the judges. Because remember, in the Judicial Service Commission, already the ANC has representatives there coming from the National Assembly, including the other parties that are in the opposition benches. So, of course, naturally, you'll have this kind of a discussion taking place at the party level. But the North Gauteng High Court says, come to court with this evidence, put it before us so that we can make a determination, as opposed to making these sweeping statements and also other assumptions. So it's good that the records are coming out, and it is up to the DA and other interested parties to then approach the court to look into this particular policy as currently practiced.
Dr. Koma, there's a huge amount of heat and discussion about this now. We've got an election. I think the DA is hoping this will be an election issue. Is anything going to change 5 years from now? The ANC will be deploying people, maybe in national government. The DA will be deploying people, maybe in the Western Cape.
Yes, they will. These parties will continue to have some kind of influence into how one considers the appointment of, for example, a city manager in the context of the metros that we have, including other municipalities, that are not metros. Discussions will still take place as to who gets appointed at the level of the DG and also heads of departments. So the influence will always be there, but what we need to guard against as ordinary members of the public, as the media and civil society, is to ensure that in all these processes we have openness and transparency, that the people that get ultimately appointed, they are fit and proper, they meet the requirements of these positions, but they are fit for purpose in terms of delivering on the mandates that are accorded to our state institutions.
Dr. Sam Koma, thank you. Expert on governance, really do appreciate the time.